And the reason why they didn't want you to come to the event was the optics.
Of
the anti-Semitic rhetoric.
Hey everybody, Roger here. I want to talk to you guys today about Turning Point USA banning Hotep Jesus, who's also known as Bryan Sharpe, from the Young Black Leadership Conference just recently. And of all the reasons in the world why they would want to get rid of him or kick him out of this event, basically due to optics. So, long story short, they needed to keep an image. They basically wanted to make sure that his views regarding how Jews, this is again his views, Jews are going to want to destroy the black community, and that's what they're here for. Again, an extreme view or not, however you want to look at it. You would think that the right, for the most part, the right tends to say, the left is the one that tries to prohibit free speech. The left is the one that tries to prohibit the free flow of ideas and different criticisms, different praises, etc., etc., etc. But in reality, when you go to the extreme left, and again, I've mentioned this before in a couple of my other videos regarding Turning Point USA, Candace Owens, even briefly Brandon Tatum, who I'm kind of now a little... I liked him a lot initially. And then when he started defending Candace Owens, without question, calling all of us who actually question Owens regarding her past, regarding the things that she never owned up to, assholes and idiots, and that we're mental for not, just accepting her and moving forward with their movement. Again, you don't know what our movement is. Apparently, I'm realizing what yours is. So anyways, you went from here for me, and then after what you did to Bryan here, you dropped way down. I mean, you basically confronted him, basically telling him, we can't have you here. He then asked, okay, well, where is this coming from? You know what? This is where Tree's character has it correct. All of them are on the Republican plantation, and they're all following Massa Charlie Kirk, and they're all basically saying, you know what? If your views do not align with Massa Charlie Kirk's, and any of his donors, then you can't be around us. We're your friends, but we're not going to be around you. We don't need you near us during this time when we're trying to influence all these NPCs at this black event, this black leadership conference event thing. So yeah, that's where it's at this point. Sharpe attempted multiple times to contact Turning Point USA. He attempted to contact Brandon Tatum, for the most part, from what was stated in the undercover video, and Bryan ended up flying out to the event again, trying to contact them for I think a couple days, if not a couple weeks, prior, to see if he was going to be needed to fly out there or not. Well, his friends weren't being friends. They didn't want to tell him, hey, don't bother coming. We can't have you here because of optics. We have CNN, we have all these media outlets here, and you're going to basically be center stage for all of these outlets to basically use that article, use your views against you, and it's going to look bad for us. Which Bryan ended up responding, well, that would be my problem, not yours, right? And Brandon Tatum's like, well, yeah, but we stand by you, meaning the black leaders in Turning Point USA. Leaders, I use that word loosely because the ones leading here is really the people above them. Brandon Tatum went on to say, well, it wasn't our decision, it was Charlie Kirk's decision that you can't be here for this. So again, Tree of Logic was right on this. Tree of Logic pointed out that as long as you listen to Massa Charlie Kirk, and again, I should say Tree of Logic's, I would say distant friend, was correct in saying that they all will have to abide by his rules, his way, or it's the highway. Well, guess what? Hotep Jesus, this was unfortunately your highway in this situation. I personally I've never liked identity politics. I can, and again, I preach this multiple times, I state this multiple times in my videos. I'm going to be doing it going forward as well. I bring up my background as both a gay man and a minority to point out a view from my perspective, not because I want to use it as a crutch or a tool or anything. I use it to point out where I'm coming from, what my what my kind of background is. It's not who I am internally or what I feel I'm about. I'm a person first and foremost, and probably only is what I would say, human and American person, and way tertiary down the list, if not further than that, is my being gay and being a minority. Those are irrelevant to thought. Those are irrelevant to advancement. Those are irrelevant to a lot of things. And at this stage of the game, the biggest issue for me is that if you aren't going to be listening to Charlie Kirk or any of the people who are his donors, then you're not going to be part of that group. You just can't be part of that group. It's just they won't allow you in. So, with all of that said, as you guys are on a plantation, and you guys basically want to only preach those talking points. That's what you guys are good for. You have a regular American sweetheart like Candace Owens that's able to capture the hearts of many NPCs out there, many zombies out there, who adore her, who love her, and she can write up, she can tell you, oh, here's a stat for this, oh, and here's a stat for that. But when it all comes down to it, they're all unified in just trying to bring zombies together. They preach the same talking points. She's got the pretty pose up there. So does Brandon Tatum. In his own right as well. With his aggressive talk and everything on video. Which again, I respect the guy, but it definitely has dropped way below now after this. Because Brandon, as the guy, if you're defending liberties and freedom, and you say you guys have to keep an image, go watch the video, you guys. Go watch the video. You say you have to keep an image for Turning Point USA. You're obviously being deceitful. You're being a deceitful representative in the fact that you say you can't embrace all of these ideologies. Why not get him in the mix? Why is it bad to question? Why is it bad to question? Person's beliefs. Again, Bryan's are very risque, I guess. They're very off the wall for the most part, and I don't tend to follow a lot of his ideas or believe his way of thinking in a lot of things, but he does have some good points on some of them as well. So they're valid enough to warrant a conversation. These would be good starting points for you guys in some of your leadership meetings. Again, it sounds like you're harvesting zombies. You're harvesting NPCs. You're harvesting people who have to think a certain way, and this is why your group is such a turnoff for me. Always has been from day one. I got fooled initially, and then I started. And I think I was only fooled for about maybe a couple weeks, and then everything just started exposing itself as I started learning more about the group, as I started learning more about like who the people are in there, how everybody's very defensive when it comes to what Turning Point USA is about. Again, if you're about liberties, you would be okay with Bryan being here. Apparently not. So that's identity politics for you. Identity politics is it should only be used like as a label, as a generic label. Like, hey, pass me the salt or pepper. There's a label that says salt. There's a label that says pepper. Shouldn't be beyond that. I am a Mexican. I am a minority. Shouldn't be anything more than that. Should have nothing to do with it. The content of my character, how I present myself, what my ideals are, let them be challenged, let them be put out there. You guys didn't allow that for Bryan here. You guys said, nope, Massa Charlie Kirk is basically the one making this order, so we're going to go ahead and have to just, we love you as a friend, but we have to abide by his rules. So that's how you look right now. That's how you look. And it's pretty sad, because then you guys don't ever have, you don't really give us the authenticity of your own personal views. You might, and I kind of knew this after you and Candace both got signed up with TPUSA, like almost, I think Candace, it was about, within the first hour that Charlie Kirk met her. Oh, I love that she does play identity politics, and she, talking to Jordan Peterson, she plays identity politics and she does it in such a great way. No, identity politics is dangerous. It's dangerous because then you're starting to use weapons that have absolutely nothing to do with freedoms or liberties or anything like that. It's just another blanket that you put in front of you as either a defense, if somebody's attacking you on something, you say, well, I'm a black person, or I'm a Mexican, or I'm this, or I'm that, and then you make it seem like you use it as a tool, when it's basically a tool to prevent you from actually bringing up counter arguments against your narratives. So it doesn't win, and in the long run, it only hurts everybody altogether when we're trying to advance America, when we're trying to advance principles and ideas and liberties and freedoms. It's sad. It's sad. You know, and apparently in your plantation here, in Charlie Kirk's plantation, freedom of thought, freedom of expression, and free flow of ideas are not key. I don't understand what attracts people to your guys' group if this is the case. You know, if again, it sounds like you're cookie cutting. You want cookie cutter type people in here. This is what I've said from the beginning. You will not get far. The Republican Party will not get far, and it will be a temporary victory if you can get to influence people in this manner, because you're going to get these people who are easily influenced, and then they'll move on to the next thing afterwards. Oh my God, Candace is so awesome. Oh my God, Brandon Tatum. Wow, he's so hot. Oh, Candace, she's so beautiful. It's like you guys are so fooled by this buffoon, this facade. The general public is fooled by this facade. You know, you don't have to have. And again, that's just a small part of it. That's just a small little increment of what I'm getting at here. But you can fool people who naively think that, sometimes because of your looks, or because you talk some certain things, or because you talk aggressive, or because you're able to pull out some overblown, generically used, always hyped up talking points. Move past that. Move past that if you want to influence people. You know, if you stick with those same things, granted, my audience doesn't grow that fast. I really don't give a shit. I don't give a shit because I talk about what I want to talk about. I sometimes will make a video where I start seeing a lot of people subscribe to me, like, instantly. And then I make another video that is like, wow, this guy is just fucking whack. You know, and they don't like that view of me, so, or again, my name, so they unsubscribe. But then I see them sometimes subscribe back when I start talking about things again that they like. But again, that's me. I'm gonna have my channel be the way that I interpret things, what I want to talk about. It's never gonna be. You can't ever say never. You can't ever say that, right? But in my case, this is how I look at my channel. I will not be bought and sold. I don't advertise on my channel. I haven't done Patreon or anything like that yet. I don't feel like I'm anything of any caliber to be doing something like that yet. You know what? Once you start doing that, you feel obligated to be making sure that those donations keep coming in. That's what I'm seeing as examples from these people. Anyways, like a lot of people that do get Patreon donor funds and whatnot, or super chat funds, they appease to their audience for the most part. And whether they say so or not, it seems like sometimes they more or less do acclimate to what they want, and then they will start telling a narrative similar to what their audience is looking for. I don't want to do that. If I ever end up, you know, asking for donations like PayPal or Patreon or anything like that, I would make sure that that everybody knows I will not change my ideas. You might be somebody who gives me $1 a month or something, and then you like one video and then you get really turned off by another video that I make. You just be aware of that, you know, and you're good to go. You know, again, I'm not going to be a cookie cutter person, and neither are you. I don't expect that. But my goal here is just because I have some differences, just because I don't have all the views that everybody else has in general, I guess I should say, as this other person who doesn't like my views, they also have complexities about them as well, the viewer, and I might like or not like some of their views. But the key that I'm trying to put here is let's have some dialogue. Let's discuss these things. Whether you don't believe in the Holocaust, which again, Holocaust deniers, why would you care about that? Why if somebody doesn't believe in the Holocaust, it's you can't push that person to believe it and say it's a gross act of detesting what's happened. No, the burden of proof is on you now to try to influence this person and show them evidence and show them, you know, what actually happened. Provide as much proof as you can to try to influence this person. You can't just get mad at people just because they don't believe a certain thing you do, or understand a certain thing that you do, or know a certain thing that you do, like in this case. That's people. You let people just have their own ideals, thoughts, and let them build up over time. Mine have, I'm still kind of stupid in a way. I know that for a fact, but I have grown in my in my 40 plus years of existence in this world. I have shifted from far left. I used to be very far left, and I'm not far right. I don't think I ever was. I'm more kind of centrist right, but yeah, long story short on that whole little explanation there is narratives. If this Turning Point USA has a narrative, it's pushing a narrative, that's fine. If you want to go ahead and get this cattle, if you want to herd this cattle, yippee-yah, 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 you want to go ahead and make sure that they go out and vote, fine, do it. At least they'll get us more votes during this midterms. But you know what? It's going to be temporary. It's going to be temporary because you're not teaching them. You're teaching them basics. You're teaching them, from what I see anyways, that you can be a leader, but you can't reach this high. If you try to go above our leaders here, then you can't be part of this club anymore. That's basically what you did to Hotep here. And it really does piss me off. It's very disrespectful to what he brought to the table. But you know what's good? What's good about it is that I hope that he just continues to decide to not be a part of it anymore. I don't know what he's going to do from here, if he's still going to be with Turning Point USA after this, but if he doesn't, this is only going to help you. This is only going to help you, Bryan, to just expand out and do your own thing, continue to do your own thing. You don't need a group. A group will, well, of course, everybody needs a group, but I mean, in this way, if you have to give up your ideals, your ideology, and any of your personally held beliefs, no matter how extreme they are, everybody's belief is valuable. Even if I can't stand it when you look at somebody like, who I always forget his name, Eric Dyson Green, Michael Tyson, whatever fuck his name is, who talks like he has a big fucking brain all the time. It's just a mashup of words, whatever, it doesn't appeal to me. But there's people like him who just, even his ideas are worth listening to, down over to the person who doesn't have the greatest education in the world. Everybody has something to offer. Everybody does. And if we just give people the opportunity to express those things, we're going to start, and not blocking them. Like in this case, they're blocking him from being part of this. They want to keep that. They don't want CNN or anybody interviewing him there. They want the focal point to be Turning Point USA. Again, fine, your group. But at the same time, you're neglecting a huge part of what it is to be a Republican, and that is embracing the freedom of speech and embracing the fact that everybody thinks differently about everybody. We don't have to accept everything, and we're not cookie cutter. You're failing in that respect. So yeah, you guys are just as bad as the Democrats. Your type of Republican, and I've preached this since day one. Well, not day one, but maybe week 1, week 2, after I started finding out a little bit more about this. And yeah, just it's kind of sad. It's very sad. And I don't know, raising a bunch of zombies, NPCs, to follow this lead. Again, maybe you'll make a difference in the outcome of the elections here. So far I just keep hearing, this Kanye factor is so huge. I love the way Kanye thinks. I'm so sick of hearing this. People, think for yourselves. You don't need false idols. You don't need idols. You don't need people with agendas like this. You don't need somebody like Candace Owens after Candace Owens or Brandon Tatum, which again, I like Brandon Tatum in a way. I do. But you don't need people who are going to say that they're going to stand with you after, you try to give them information about, stuff about you, that they're going to stand with you and then have to turn their back against you. This could have been a good opportunity for that Republican plantation, those couple of people who actually didn't back up Bryan here, to actually go back over to Kirk and say, hey, you know what? While you might think his views are extreme, and while they go against a lot of Jews, you sorry, it's the first time I used the word here in this video. I didn't want to, but I'm going to. You might not like it, but you know what? Let's go ahead and support him in this. Let's bring him in. Who cares what the interviewers say? Who cares if they ask him questions about this? Is it going to hurt Turning Point USA? Maybe. Or maybe it'll raise awareness, saying that we're open to discuss quite a bit of things within our circle, within our community. You didn't take that opportunity. You got exposed, and now you're exposed to the point that it's not big at this point, but I mean, if it starts to grow, people are going to see that you guys are not the group of tolerance. You're not going to tolerate certain ideas. You're not going to tolerate the fact that if somebody has a view and wants to point out, who controls certain narratives, which he does on a regular basis, he tries to point these things out, that you're just not going to accept it. You're just going to silence him. That's basically what you're doing, is you just silenced him. And you guys, Candace and Brandon Tatum, you guys didn't act as friends, and all the other people in there who were part of this. You did not back him up and do what's right. If you were truly a Republican, if you truly held those beliefs, you would have looked at Charlie Kirk after he had mentioned all that, get him out of here. We can't have him here for the optics. You would have said, no, we need to allow him to stay here, and we need to have this, whatever happens from here, and whatever coverage you guys get from it. Think of how the negative coverage is actually very beneficial. Look at how it has worked for Donald Trump. Again, you guys are so afraid of negative coverage, and you want to keep this, again, cookie cutter, this facade on. It's ridiculous. And anybody who's actually going to these Turning Point USA seminars, meetings, or whatever the fuck they are, does it really truly change your life? And be honest, if you do, if it does, good for you, and if it puts you in the right path to, not even the right path, if it puts you in a path for you being you and questioning things and believing in the American way and doing your best to just want to embrace freedom, embrace liberty, embrace everything Americanism versus censorship versus identity politics, which again, they're playing identity politics here, versus any of these things that are regressive. Let me know if that actually is what's happening here, because if it is, then you have something going here. But if it's not, then I don't know what to say. It seems like there's just so many NPCs out there, so many NPCs following this group. It's ridiculous. Every time I make a video about it, it's always a huge hate scenario, and I'm okay with that. These are the videos that do it, probably because I'm babbling too much, but in reality, nobody likes their heroes being talked about. Oh, you hate Candace? She's so beautiful. She is so smart and intelligent. Watch a lot of these interviews. It's always the same lines. Kanye this, the economy that, black unemployment this. It's the same shit over and over again. And it whatever. If you bring in good voting, in this midterms, if you bring in the black vote or the minority or the Mexican vote, the minority vote, if you are going to make a dent in it, I will give you credit, because you keep saying, oh, we're making a big dent. Black approval ratings, or Trump's approval ratings with blacks is going through the roof. That's what I hear Candace saying all the time. We're going to find out. Until then, and again, I don't not believe that it's possible, but I don't think Turning Point, Candace alone, and those kind of things had anything to do with it. I think a lot of it has to do, and again, this is just me thinking this. Another flaw of Candace that I'm actually doing right now is I tend to think certain things instead of actually knowing them, which, again, we all have flaws. But in this particular case, I do believe that that she's wrong. I believe that there are a lot of people in regards to the blacks are black votes are the minorities, blacks and a lot of different other minorities are voting for Trump now in record numbers because of what we're doing. And no, it's because of how stupid the left is acting. It's how stupid fake news outlets are making themselves look. It's people are opening up their eyes, but yet we still have a lot of stupid people in this world, and they're not going to go away. They're going to continue to grow. And we just have to be calling out the shit. And right now, the shit that I'm calling out is Charlie Kirk being your Massa and having you guys kick out a person who was part of Turning Point USA because of identity politics, because of anti-Semitism, because of a lot of stupid shit. The free flow of ideas is not part of your group, and unfortunately that's going to be your drawback. And unfortunately, this is one of the reasons why I don't think you're going to last that long. Nothing that's a fringe group like this ever lasts that long. And you guys come and go. We'll see what happens from here. If you get us a couple of votes in this midterms, good for you. I will applaud you for that. Until then, it is what it is. All the best luck to you, Hotep Jesus. I think you got shafted. I hope you have a good night. Peace out.
It wasn't clearly articulated on why everything went the way it was.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason why our event and the reason why they didn't want you to come to the event was the optics.
Optics
of the anti-Semitic rhetoric.
Yeah. And
one of the reasons was because they didn't want there to be an additional attack on you by the media. Because every media outlet was covering this event.
Right.
And so you being here is going to cause them to try to focus on you and attack you over anti-Semitic rhetoric.
Right.
Given the fact that our organization is pretty much pro-Jewish.
But wouldn't that be my issue though? Like, wouldn't you let me handle that?
Yeah, but it's kind of like it's both of us, both of our issues.
Oh yeah. The optics on y'all too.
Use you to create animosity by attacking you, write more negative stories about you, and then utilizing those against us to say, look, they have this person at this event.
Right.
And so it's a dual negative for both of us.
So the media is allowed in?
The media was here. CNN, everybody was here.
Yeah.
With Don Jr.
Right.
And so that was the problem.
Okay.
Now, you're a grown ass man. I can't force you out of here.
Right.
But I want you to understand where we're coming from.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even really be, we wouldn't even know you were here if you weren't posting all on the internet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, of course.
So
I wanted y'all to know I was here so I could meet up with y'all and talk to y'all.
It's in between a rock and a hard place.
Right.
Because personally, none of us have a problem with you.
Right.
We want you here. It's the optics, the media.